You're listening to the Armchair GMs Sports Network. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a special installment of Straight to the Extra Point. This is our 2020 NFL Round 1 mock draft right here on the Armchair GMs Sports Network. Your source for North American sports coverage by sports fans, for sports fans, delivered to you right from the Niagara region. This is our April 18th, 2020 edition. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Armchair GM Pod. Like us on Facebook by searching the Armchair GMs Network. As well, we are live right now on Spreaker.com or the Spreaker app by searching the Armchair GMs. As well, we're on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, CastBox, and Deezer. So we're on many different platforms for you, whichever one is most convenient for you to listen to us. As well as check out our brand new website by searching armchairgmsports.com. And as always, I'm your host of Straight to the Extra Point, Cappy. You can follow me on Twitter at Coots13 with a Canadian Z. And I'm pleased to be joined today on this special edition of Straight to the Extra Point. This is our draft special, so I had to get two co-hosts. It was too big for only one co-host, so I've got our NFL insider on the sports network here, Miklos. You can follow him on Twitter at Miklos_McMaster, former OUA athlete for the Waterloo Warriors. Miklos, how's it going?
It's going great, Cappy. Happy to be here, Coach.
And I've got my other co-host who also helps me with the college football portion of the network. He is Treigh Patterson. You can follow him on Twitter at Treigh Patterson. Treigh, how you doing today?
Fantastic.
So I've got, your Tennessee Titans are picking number 29, so I guess that's a good thing, right? I mean, that means they had a good season.
I wish we were picking 30th or 31st or 31st or 32nd, but,
Yeah, I guess so. But, guys, I've got somebody who joins me on the NFL portion of the network and somebody who joins me on the college football portion of the network, so we've got a lot of different insights today from many different angles as well. So I'm looking forward to this today. What we're going to do on today's show is all three of us are going to project and pick which player we think is going to go in each spot of the first 32 picks of the first round, and just quickly talk about why we chose that player for that spot. We'll do a little... I will have a disclaimer here by saying that we are not going to project any trades. I know, and we probably know that there will be a trade or two in this draft, but it's just too hard to kind of, mess up with that. So in order to keep the episode in sync, we're just going to project that all 32 picks will stay the same for this upcoming draft, and we'll pick based on that order. If there are any trades and that, hopefully our list still stay the same, but... With that being said, guys, let's jump right into this mock draft here. And it's the Cincinnati Bengals finished last in the NFL for a reason last year, and looks like they're moving on from Andy Dalton, their quarterback who has been there forever. It looks like the Bengals are trying to turn to a new regime here with their new staff and going forward with a new quarterback, but. You never know. They might shock the world and not go with a quarterback. So let's start off with you, Miklos. Who do you have the Cincinnati Bengals taking with the first overall selection?
In an extremely ice-cold take, I am going with the Bengals taking Joe Burrow.
Oh.
I mean, I was just going to say, as much as we can say about all the other talent, and if it's not Joe Burrow, I think it's just got to be a quarterback, period. It's the most important position in football, as much as you want to argue against it. We were talking before the show how me and Treigh don't agree that Kyler Murray should have been the offensive rookie of the year, as we respectively, Treigh has A.J. Brown, we have Josh Jacobs, who were both better by far. And but as far as football goes, especially NFL, quarterback is the most important position. If you're starting from scratch again, you need your franchise quarterback.
No, definitely. And he looks like Treigh and I were discussing on our college football episode last week that he had one of the most incredible college careers of all time. Just, obviously winning the Heisman Trophy, going undefeated, and winning the national championship. So it doesn't get much better than that. Treigh, are you in agreement with Miklos for Joe Burrow first overall?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any way they don't take Joe Burrow. I think the only the only possibility of them not taking Joe Burrow is if some team offers like an incredibly lucrative trade package to come up and then take Joe Burrow at number 1. So yeah, I have the Bengals taking Burrow.
Yep, and I'm in agreement too. Joe Burrow, the quarterback from LSU, obviously looks like he's going to go first overall, and the Bengals might finally have a chance at a franchise quarterback. They've always seemed to have average or just above average quarterbacks in the past, so it looks like they finally get a gem in him. And I got to give a shout out to our buddy Chico Nation. He wants to give a who day, so he's pretty fired up about his Bengals there picking first overall, but we'll have to wait and see what goes on with that. Moving on here to the Washington Redskins at number 2, and talk about another disaster dumpster fire that's been going on with them. Last year, their owner Dan Snyder basically took over the draft board with a week to go in the draft, and they ended up taking Dwayne Haskins and Montez Sweat. So with the second overall pick, Miklos, what do you got them taking here? I mean, obviously the number 1 true talent, according to everybody, all the experts and scouts, is Chase Young. Do you have them taking him or passing up on him for a desperate position of need?
So I tried really hard to look at other positions because Washington does have a lot of needs, but they believe their quarterback of the future with Dwayne Haskins, and they picked up Kyle Allen as well. And I don't think Ron Rivera is going to deviate from either of those two guys. And I think Chase Young is way too talented to pass up on here. So if you got your quarterback of the future, I think taking the best talent on the board at this spot, unless someone offers a huge trade package and they can pick up a bunch of picks and trade down to fill more needs. But I think if you're sticking here, you take Chase Young.
Yep, so Chase Young, the edge rusher from Ohio State. Treigh, do you have Washington going the same route?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. The only way I think they don't take him is, again, if somebody wants to trade up and take him. Because they do the Redskins have, like you said, they have Sweat at that position that they just drafted last year. So it's not a huge position of need. But when somebody that talented is on the board at number 2, you have to take him.
No, absolutely. And I'm in agreement too. Chase Young's there. They have to take him. Ryan Kerrigan has also become a pass rusher for them, but he's in the last year of his deal, and he's 32 years old. So having Montez Sweat and Chase Young would be very nice to have coming off the edges for Washington, and probably would be one of the bright spots on a team that definitely has a lot of holes on their team everywhere and anywhere. So I'd have to tend to agree with both of you on that. And with that being said, let's move on to the number 3 pick, is the Detroit Lions, and that's another team that has some nice holes to fill, big holes to fill. They did acquire, it seems like they acquired half the New England Patriots defense, which makes sense because Matt Patricia is now their head coach, former defensive coordinator for the New England Patriots. Miklos, what do you have the Detroit Lions going with at number 3?
So I was looking at a lot of different things, and personally, if I was the Lions, I wouldn't be staying at 3. I feel like I'd be trading back and trying to get more stuff. But I know this is also, I kept coming back to this, and Jeffrey Okudah is so talented and touted as the top corner in the draft. I know they brought in Desmond Trufant to replace Darius Slay, but Matt Patricia being a defensive guy, I think they would take Okudah here, especially because Chase Young was taken, and I know they need edge rushers, but they seem to like their former Patriots guys despite the production or lack thereof. So I think they're going to stick with Okudah here, match up with Desmond Trufant, and then have a solid cornerback tandem for them.
Miklos, what do you have not Miklos, Treigh, what do you have with Detroit at number 3 here?
So I went a little different because, I mean, most people seem to have Okudah going here. But I went with Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker from Clemson. Linebacker is a position of need for the Lions. And not only that, but Isaiah Simmons, there's been talk that he might be able to even play safety at the next level because of his speed. And so, when you have a guy that he's kind of positionless, you don't know what he's going to be able to play. He's just an athlete. And I think that gives him some versatility with this pick. And I think Isaiah Simmons would actually be a really good fit for the Lions.
Okay, I mean, I really like Isaiah Simmons as well, but I'm going to have to go with Miklos on this one and say Jeffrey Okudah, the cornerback from Ohio State. I just don't think that the Lions can pass up on him with corner being their number one need. According to NFL.com, their biggest needs are corner, defensive line, offensive line, running back, and wide receiver. So that's why I ended up going with Jeffrey Okudah, but I do think Isaiah Simmons is a game-changing linebacker who I have going very, very soon in this upcoming mock draft that we're doing. So Miklos and I are both on Okudah, and Treigh is on Isaiah Simmons. Moving on to number 4 and the New York Giants. Shoutouts to our good buddy Josh, a.k.a. Ragu from Massachusetts, who is a big New York Giants fan despite being in Patriot land, so good for him, as well as our good friend and Miklos' brother, Harry McMaster, the wide receiver for the Edmonton Eskimos, who is a big New York Giants fan, so I'm sure Miklos has consulted with his brother on this pick. And with that being said, Miklos, what do you got for the New York Football Giants at number 4?
Okay, so I'm going to go with my pick that I think they should take, and then based on Harry's experience with the Giants, what they'll probably take. So I think they should take Tristan Wirfs, one of the best offensive tackles in the draft. You got your quarterback of the future in Daniel Jones, and Nate Solder's not getting any younger. So I think to have a top offensive tackle at this spot, even if you put him at right tackle for 1 year before flipping him over to be the left tackle to block Daniel Jones for the next decade, I think this is the route that you want to go. But based on Harry's experience with the Giants and the fact that they just can't get enough D tackles on that team for whatever reason, Harry thinks that Derek Brown is the likely pick there just because the New York Giants have never met a D tackle that they don't love.
Yeah, that's true. They've always had a unbelievable front line there on the defense. So you're going with the offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs, and Treigh, you also went with Tristan Wirfs.
Yeah, I think he's probably personally. I think that Andrew Thomas is the best pure tackle in this draft. But I think that the Giants will take Tristan Wirfs here. He's being touted by all the experts as being the highest graded overall. So, and Iowa always seems to pump out these players that, you don't hear too much of them in college, and then, come draft time, they're the next big thing. So I'm going with Wirfs.
Okay. So you guys are both in agreement with that. I am going a little bit different. I'm going with Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker from Clemson. I just think the Giants desperately need a linebacker as well as offensive tackle being their number one need, so you guys are correct with that. But I could see them taking Isaiah Simmons, just a game-changing linebacker that could really help a Giants defense that needs a lot of help everywhere. So that's why I have them taking Isaiah Simmons, the Clemson linebacker, and you guys are on Tristan Wirfs, the offensive lineman from Iowa for the New York Giants at number 4. And other needs for them would be an edge rusher. So I'm sure if Chase Young somehow fell to them at number 4, that's probably the guy they would take, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, if he fell to 4, I think that's extremely likely.
Yeah.
If he falls to 4, you'd be dumb not to take him.
Yeah.
No matter what your team needed.
Yeah. And this is where it gets very, very interesting, is the Miami Dolphins with one of their 3 first-round picks here at number 5. This is their own pick here. So their biggest positions of need is obviously quarterback, offensive line, running back, safety, and edge rusher. So there's a lot of rumors on what they're going to do with this pick and which quarterback they may possibly go with here, Miklos. What do you got with the Miami Dolphins at number 5, which is your dad's team, by the way?
Yeah, I'm gonna go on the side of believing some of these rumors, and especially because I believe I saw something about Tua failing one of his physicals. So I think they're gonna go Justin Herbert here, as much as everyone loves Tua, and Tua is undeniably, unbelievably talented. Just the having the medical question marks there, and by all rumors, it appears that Miami loves Justin Herbert, and as an Oregon fan, I love Justin Herbert too. So I had Justin Herbert going here to the Dolphins.
Okay, Treigh, what are you on for the Dolphins at 5?
I'm on a quarterback also, but I'd still have him taken Tua. I just think he's a fit. I haven't kept up with a lot of the rumors, so I'm not sure. I did see something about on the SEC network, they were talking about Tua and saying that There were a couple GMs that said that it was the greatest combine, well, not combine, but the pro day workout they've ever seen. And then there was another GM that said that it was the worst one he's ever seen. So depending on what side of the fence you're on, but I just tend to lean that they're going to not reach, but they're going to take a chance on Tua because I think he has more upside. Although personally, I don't think he's going to be successful. There
just seems to be a lot of durability issues with this guy, and he was already injured in college. And like Treigh mentioned on our college episode last week, that if he's already getting injured by guys in college, he's definitely they're gonna be bigger guys coming at him in the NFL, and they're not gonna take it easy on a kid like that, and probably try to exploit those durability issues that he has. So although he has the higher upside, I think the durability there is a very big question mark if you want to build your team around a guy like that.
No, I tend to agree. And that's why, personally, I wouldn't want him.
Yeah, I mean, you guys both have him taking a quarterback. I have Miami going a little bit differently with the route because they have 3 first-round picks, so I feel like Tua might slip a little bit, so I'm actually having them take Jedrick Wills, the offensive tackle from Alabama here, and you'll know my reasoning on that later on when Miami makes another pick, but I have them taking Jedrick Wills from Alabama. I just think they really they desperately need some offensive line help, and I think with them knowing that they have a couple more first-round picks, that they can use one of those on a quarterback later on, so that's just my reasoning on that, so I have them going with Jedrick Wills from Alabama to really help an offensive line that needs a ton of help. And Miklos has them going with Justin Herbert, the quarterback, and Treigh with Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback from Alabama. Moving on to Miklos, your favorite team, the LA Chargers. Not really, but one of your favorite teams in the AFC West over there. Their biggest needs right now are quarterback, offensive tackle, linebacker, edge rusher, and tight end. So what do you got for the LA Chargers?
Well, as the Dolphins took Justin Herbert, and I know the Chargers are talking a lot about how awesome Tyrod Taylor is. Maybe he can have him as a bridge quarterback, and if you have a bridge quarterback that you're trying to put a lot of faith in, then I think it makes sense for them to take Tua here. Maybe if they absolutely need to, it doesn't appear that he's going to need it, but give Tua some more time to rehab from that hip injury that he had, and have your quarterback of the future to have a smooth transition from Phillip Rivers.
Okay, so Tua going out west to the Los Angeles Chargers. Treigh, what do you got for the Chargers at number 6?
Yeah, I tend to agree with everything you just said, except I have them taking Herbert because I have the Dolphins taking Tua. This is all pending whether or not they do sign a quarterback because, I mean, we're less than a week away, and the Chargers could, announce on Monday that they're signing Jameis Winston or, anybody who's still a free agent at this point. But as of right now, I haven't taken Herbert.
Okay, so you guys have the Herbert and Tua just flopped from the Chargers and the Dolphins. I'm going a different route, like Treigh just brought up for me. I can't get past the fact that the Chargers are going to go with Tyrod Taylor as their quarterback. I honestly... Seeing Jameis Winston and Cam Newton out there, and I know Miklos and myself have discussed this on our free agency recap show, I just think the Chargers are a perfect fit for either a guy like Cam Newton or Jameis Winston to go in there and compete with Tyrod Taylor for that job, so I just don't see them taking a quarterback at this spot. I really see them going with Tristan Wirfs, the offensive lineman from Iowa. I just think it's too hard to pass up on a top offensive lineman like him, and the Chargers have obviously had their offensive line struggles in the past, and as Miklos and myself were joking about in the free agency recap show, I love how the Chargers are now they're trying to buff up their offensive line now that Phillip Rivers is now gone, right, Miklos?
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to buff up a line after your franchise quarterback is gone.
Yeah. So I'm on Tristan Wirfs, Miklos is on Tua, and Treigh is on Justin Herbert. Moving on to number 7, the Carolina Panthers, and obviously brand new head coach Matt Rule, no more Ron Rivera era in Carolina. Their biggest needs are D-line, corner, edge rusher, offensive line, linebacker. Miklos, where do you have the Panthers going here?
So just after free agency, I know there's lots of spots that they could fill in on the defensive side of the ball, which is where I think they need to rebuild. And I think for them, I know I still haven't had Isaiah Simmons taken, but I think Derek Brown for their D-line, you want to win in the trenches, and they love their front seven. I think Derek Brown is just too talented to pass up at this spot. So I think I have Carolina taking Derek Brown here.
Okay. Treigh, what do you have the Panthers going with here?
I agree that the Panthers need to start their rebuilding process on the defensive side of the ball, specifically on the D-line. Battles are won in the trenches. But instead of Brown, I haven't taken Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina. Just personally, watching SEC football this, past few years, I think Kinlaw is the better pure player over Derek Brown. Don't get me wrong; they're both incredibly gifted athletes, but just personally, I think Kinlaw is better.
I agree with Treigh on this one with my pick. I went with Javon Kinlaw as well from South Carolina. I just think it's a match made in heaven for the Carolina Panthers to take the guy from South Carolina. But that was basically my deciding factor on why I chose Kinlaw over Miklosh's selection of Derek Brown. So I'm with Miklosh on and Treigh that they need defensive line help desperately, and I think they're going to get a good one here with either Derek Brown or Javon Kinlaw. But for the sake of the draft, myself and Treigh went with Kinlaw, and Miklosh went with Derek Brown. Moving on to the Arizona Cardinals, who had a fantastic free agency, as we discussed on the free agency show. Their biggest needs are still offensive line, edge rusher, D-line, tight end, and defensive back. So, Miklosh, after building off of a great free agency period, where do you see the Arizona Cardinals going with here?
So, the Arizona Cardinals, I know you want... you have your franchise quarterback, and, you got him a weapon. You got DeAndre Hopkins. And so I think now it's time to give Chandler Jones some kind of help on that defense, which has been just not great. So Isaiah Simmons is still on the board, so I say you match one physical freak with another and have Isaiah Simmons taken at this spot to match with Chandler Jones.
Yeah, you had Isaiah Simmons dropping pretty far there as a guy that was projected third or fourth pick there, Miklosh. What was your reasoning with that?
I just felt like the teams that were ahead of them had different needs. Detroit definitely could have taken Isaiah Simmons. That's the one pick that I wasn't really confident on. I could have definitely seen Isaiah Simmons taken there. But other than that, all the other teams had other needs that were just way more pressing, like the quarterback needy teams. The New York Giants desperately you want to get an O-line to protect your quarterback that they already have there. So I think that's why offensive line just made more sense for them. And then in Washington, Chase Young has just been better and more highly touted in what they need. So,
okay, that makes sense. I was just wondering why you had Simmons falling so far, but I guess it is possible. We've seen it before that top players somehow drop to teams that never thought they'd have a chance to pick somebody, like Ed Oliver with the Bills a few years ago. They never thought that he was going to drop to them at 8 or 9, so I guess it could be a situation like that. But Treigh...
Geno Smith.
Oh, yeah, Geno Smith. Yeah, shout out to the New York Jets fans out there. But we've got Treigh. Who do you have for the Arizona Cardinals at number 8?
I went offense with the Cardinals. I think now that they have an actual... Well, not an actual, they have Larry Fitzgerald, but now that they have DeAndre Hopkins to pair alongside him and a real threat for Kyler Murray, I think they give him some protection up front, and I have them taking Andrew Thomas, the tackle from Georgia.
Yep, I'm in agreement with that too. Andrew Thomas, the 6'5" offensive lineman from Georgia. I just think if you're the Cardinals, you need to protect Kyler Murray, and they've done a good job building around him. They just need to put some guys in front of him to keep him in that pocket if needed, and if he's scrambling out of the pocket, somebody that can protect those big defensive linemen trying to pursue him, chase them down the field. So I'm in agreement with Treigh here on Andrew Thomas. I think he is one of the most talented offensive linemen in this draft, and I think it's just the perfect fit as the Cardinals' number one need right now is offensive line, and then edge rusher, D-line, tight end, and defensive back. But Miklosh, I would agree with you that if Isaiah Simmons somehow fell to number 8, I would definitely consider taking him as well. And then moving on to number 9, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, for anybody that listened to our season preview last year, was the team that I was really high on, and I am no longer high on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm never picking them ever again after they made me look terrible last year, and they traded away Nick Foles. So, I'm off the Jacksonville Jaguars bandwagon there after they had that great defense for those couple years, and unfortunately had Blake Bortles stop them from going to a Super Bowl with that unbelievable defense. But with that being said, they seem to have been tearing down their defense, and it definitely does not look like it was a few years ago. Some of their biggest needs are on the defensive side. They got corner, D-line, edge rusher, and then offensive line and running back. So, Miklos, where do you have the Jags going with at number 9?
So I was flip-flopping between front seven player and the secondary, but and I finally decided that it doesn't matter how good your secondary is. If your front seven sucks, you could have the best corners in the world, but if the quarterback's got all day, he's going to complete those passes. So I had them shaking Javon Kinlaw here, especially considering Yannick Ngakoue has been talking about wanting a trade and wanting out of Jacksonville.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked about that. It was like they had just placed the franchise tag on him. It seems like there's not going to be a long-term option there, so they might want to get themselves a long-term option in the draft. So I definitely could see them taking a guy like Javon Kinlaw for the defensive line. Treigh, what do you have the Jags going with here? Who is one of your favorite teams there in the AFC South?
They're my favorite team because it's a guaranteed 2 wins each year. So if you've been following along with my draft, you would know that Jeff Okudah is still on the board at this point in my mock draft. So perfect fit for the Jaguars. They always seem to luck into one of these picks each year where they get like one of the best true talent players available. And just the way the draft has fallen with, positional needs being such a glaring issue for the teams in front of them, whether it be tackle or quarterback. I have Okudah falling all the way to number 9 where the Jags get a steal.
Okay, so Jeffrey Okudah, you have falling from the 3 or 4 spot where people are projecting him to be to number 9 to the Jags, and wouldn't that be something to replace Jalen Ramsey with the best cornerback in this draft with Jeffrey Okudah? That would be definitely something that I could see happening if he were to fall all the way down to number 9 to the Jags. I don't think they could pass up on a guy like that, although they desperately need defensive line help as well, but corner is also a glaring need for them, so that'd be a nice pick for them as well, so I agree with you there.
And then in 3 years they'll trade him.
I have the Jags going with a defensive lineman as well. Derek Brown is still on the board on my draft, so I'm going with Derek Brown, the defensive lineman from Auburn. Like you guys said about the glaring need on defensive line for the Jags, I just think they have to take somebody definitely on the defensive side of the ball. They need to rebuild that defense that they have basically torn down in the last year or so. And lastly, before we take our first commercial break today, we have number 10, everybody's favorite team to feel sorry for, the Cleveland Browns, who had seemed to have won the offseason last year, the last offseason, and then went on to have a disastrous 6-10 season. So, Miklos, as a person who was very high on the Browns going into last year, what do you think they need to get back to a level like that, the expectations that they had last year with their number 10 overall pick here? Their biggest needs are offensive tackle, safety, linebacker, D-line, and wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm ashamed to say I got sucked into the hype. I really wanted it for him. You finally got all these, it wasn't just, talented in name. It was actually seemed like the character guys and stuff. And, I really like Baker Mayfield. I was like, come on, guys, you can turn the corner. And, God, they just can't help but be the Browns. But, yeah, as I went with Jedrick Willis, the offensive tackle out of Alabama for them. I mean, right now they have, according to our lads, they have Chris Hubbard slotted in at the starting left tackle spot, which is what? I mean, you got Baker Mayfield, who's definitely their franchise quarterback. They picked up Jack Conklin in free agency, so they have their right tackle there. So I think you get an upgrade now at left tackle and start rebuilding that offensive line to help protect all your talent out there.
Okay, so Miklos is on Jedrick Wirfs, the offensive lineman from Iowa. Treigh, what do you want?
Alabama.
Or from Alabama, sorry. I wrote down Iowa for some reason. Oh, no, never mind. I'm looking at... So, wait, you're taking Jedrick Wills or Tristan Wirfs?
Jedrick Willis.
Jedrick Wills, okay, sorry. So, because on my mock draft, I have them going back-to-back, so I was confused. Anyways, so you have them taking Jedrick Wills from Alabama. Treigh, you are also in agreement with Jedrick Wills.
Yeah, I think there's mixed feelings on Baker Mayfield in Cleveland right now. They were riding a high coming off his rookie year, and then obviously they had the disappointment last year that was spiraled out of control after they lost week 1 to my Tennessee Titans. But yeah, they need to get some protection for Baker Mayfield to really find out whether or not they're going to start this rebuild process over again and draft the umpteenth quarterback in the last 20 years. So yeah, Jedrick Wills is the pick here.
And I had Jedrick Wills going at number 5, so unfortunately he is not available on my draft board for the Cleveland Browns to take, but I am in agreement with you that they desperately need some offensive line help. I have them taking Mekhi Becton from Louisville, so because I already have Tristan Wirfs, Jedrick Wills, and Andrew Thomas going, so they miss out on the top 3 offensive linemen available, so Becton is the next best available. I think they go with him, and I'm in agreement that they just need to protect Baker Mayfield. That he was just under duress all year last year, which I'm sure was a reason why they struggled so much and why he struggled so much was that he really didn't have a lot of time in that pocket last year, and it was just a disastrous season for the Cleveland Browns, who are looking to turn that around. I've heard today, actually yesterday, these rumors about a possible Odell Beckham trade to Minnesota. Miklos, what do you think of those rumors?
I mean, it's so unbelievable to me, and that's one of the things with the NFL with these personalities. You can get guys that are so talented, as we saw the absolute implosion of Antonio Brown's career due to personality issues and everything. But ever since New York's gotten rid of Odell Beckham, it seems crazy to me that Cleveland would move on from him already, especially because he's talked about how much he's with former teammate Jarvis Landry, and he likes it there and everything, and he wanted to be there. But if they did move on, Minnesota definitely needs a guy now that Stephon Diggs has moved on to pair with Adam Thielen. So it would be interesting to see that happen. I just don't know if Minnesota would be willing to give up what the Browns would most likely be asking for OBJ.
Treigh, what do you think of those possible rumors? Do you think there's anything behind that?
I mean, if it's a rumor, I definitely think there's something behind it. Odell is he's a head case. Everywhere he goes, he's going to be the focal point of that team, and which for Cleveland, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. But I tend to agree that I think it would be dumb to get rid of him. Just like Baker needs the offensive line help, he needs wide receiver threats, and Landry and Odell together. It's a dynamic duo, and I think it would be dumb to get rid of him, unless, of course, the package that is offered to him is just ungodly.
Yeah, I like Landry better in the number 2 slot. I just think it's a better natural fit for him being a number 2 receiver in that offense. And to quickly recap the top 10 from 1 to 10 here, on my list I have Joe Burrow, Chase Young, Jeffrey Okudah, Isaiah Simmons, Jedrick Wills, Tristan Wirfs, Javon Kinlaw, Andrew Thomas, Derek Brown, Mekhi Becton. Miklos has Joe Burrow, Chase Young, Jeffrey Okudah, Tristan Wirfs, Justin Herbert, Tua Tagovailoa, Derek Brown, Isaiah Simmons, Javon Kinlaw, Jedrick Wills, and yeah, that's it for the top 10. Treigh has Joe Burrow, Chase Young, Isaiah Simmons, Tristan Wirfs, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, Javon Kinlaw, Andrew Thomas, Jeffrey Okudah, and Jedrick Wills for our top 10 picks. And with that being said, guys, we're going to take our first commercial break on the show today, and we will come back with the picks from the picks from 11 to 20. So we'll be right back here on Straight to the Extra Point, our mock draft episode, right here on the Armchair GMs Sports Network. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, serving Italian pizzas made with the freshest, top-quality ingredients. Loaded subs and our famous chicken wings, winners of the 2017 Reader's Choice Awards, and the brand-new recipients of the 2019 Reader's Choice Diamond Award from Niagara this week for Best Pizza in Niagara Falls. Open daily, located on the corner of Drummond Road and Dunn Street. Available for call-ahead pickup or delivery, 905-374-4400. Debit and credit accepted for both. You've tried the rest, it's time to try us. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano. Attention job seekers. If you're currently looking for work in the Niagara region, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thoroldstone Road, Niagara Falls. Free services include resource area open to the public, resume and cover letter writing, community resource and referral information, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment training and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, second career information and registration assistance, and check out our available workshops under our events calendar on our website for more details at www.ehc.on.ca, the Niagara Employment Help Center. Marcel Dion Inc. Come in and check out our store and meet Marcel Dion himself. We have wall-to-wall NFL, MLB, and NHL licensed products and all kinds of collectibles. We specialize in autographed sports memorabilia, If you don't see what you're looking for, just ask and we'll find it for you. So next time you need a great gift idea for that sports fanatic in your life, or you need to add to your own collection, come visit us first. You won't be disappointed. 905-357-7678, Marcel Dion Inc. Chippin' Charlie's, it's where the locals go. Fun, friendly, and entertaining staff. You're not just a customer, you're family. Lots of TVs, amazing food, and always a great time. Open daily 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Call 905-371-3428 for inquiries and reservations. Located at 8189 Lundy's Lane, Niagara Falls. Chippin' Charlie's, it's where the locals go. Mid-City Motors Niagara, your premium source for pre-owned vehicles. Financing and leasing for all types of credit. Check them out at 4460 Drummond Road, Niagara Falls, or at mcmniagara.com. They are also happy to announce Mid-City Mechanic is now open. They can repair, maintain, and service all makes and models of vehicles. Conveniently located behind Mid-City Motors at Drummond Road and Perkins Street. They will be happy to help you keep your car on the road. 905-371-2277. That's Mid-City Motors and Mid-City Mechanic. You're listening to the Armchair GMs Sports Network. Alright guys, welcome back to the second segment of today's Straight to the Extra Point NFL mock draft for round one. Cappy, Miklos, and Treigh back with you here. And in the first segment, we went over the top 10 picks in the NFL, or who we think will go in the top 10 of the upcoming NFL draft. And talking during the commercial break, Miklos, we were joking about Commissioner Roger Goodell picking from his basement this year. It's we forgot to mention that at the beginning of the show. I apologize, but it's going to be a much different NFL draft this year with obviously what's going on with the coronavirus. There won't be a live draft with thousands of fans there, and it's going to be very different to see an online draft for the NFL. And if players are if they're gonna try to have like backdrops set up in their house where to make it look like an NFL draft style, I've seen one player that the Bills were looking at doing something like that, but definitely be in suits and everything like that. But it's definitely going to be weird, Miklos.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be very strange. And I saw that some teams teams have the option of getting more time if they're having internet connection issues. So I wonder if there's going to be any weaseling by any teams there to try and get some more time for their picks to work out more deals.
Oh, we've got Internet Gate with the New England Patriots lined up, ready to go.
Actually, the rumor I saw was actually busting David Gettleman of the Giants for his lack of understanding of technology for doing that.
Oh my goodness, Treigh, what do you think? What are you thinking of how the draft's going to look like this year?
I'm just happy we're going to have some sort of sports to follow. I don't care how goofy it is. Just give me something.
Yeah, so I believe it's going to be round one on Thursday like it usually is, and then are they still going to do like the 3 rounds on Friday and the finish off the draft on Saturday?
I would think so. Do you know, are they going to have like a panel like they normally do where they discuss the picks, or are they going to be remote too? I don't
know. We'll have Mel Kiper via satellite ready to go with his reactions to the picks, I'm sure. But with that being said, guys, let's keep moving on with this mock draft here. And I forgot to play this when we started the draft in the first segment. So here we go. The New York Jets are on the clock at number 11, and as pointed out by our good buddy Ricky Calacina, Miklos, who is listening live, shout-outs to him, no wide receiver was taken in the top 10 picks, and we're about to see a long list of them go here, I believe. So, Miklos, what do you got with the New York Jets at number 11?
So, as I was discussing with my brother before this, and we heard on the Rich Eisen show, the Jets need a Noah's Ark draft. They need 2 of everything. This roster is just, oh my God. I cannot believe that this is an NFL team out here sometimes. And as much as they need literally everything at every position, I do have them taking a wide receiver. I have them taking CeeDee Lamb here. You have Sam Darnold in the future. You have Le'Veon Bell, despite his production and what he's had there, and they have just so many needs. But I think you start, especially with Robbie Anderson now free agent and probably not going to come back. I think you need a weapon for Sam Darnold to throw to. So I think you take one of the best wide receivers on the board available at this time, and I have him taking CeeDee Lamb.
Treigh, you're also in agreement with CeeDee Lamb as the number one wide receiver talent in the draft.
Yeah, I have the Jets also taking Lamb here. When your current best receiver on your roster is Jamison Crowder, that's a problem. Jamison Crowder is like a number 3 guy at best right now. So they need receiver help, and lucky for them, the best receiver in this draft just so happens to fall to him at 11.
And I also have the Jets taking a wide receiver, as Miklos alluded to. They need everything, but according to NFL.com, their biggest needs are wide receiver, number 1, edge rusher, offensive tackle, corner, and running back. But I think this is where the run of the stud wide receivers starts here. And I actually have them doing the most New York Jets thing possible and passing up on who we all think is the number 1 receiver talent in CeeDee Lamb, and going with Jerry Jeudy, the Alabama wide receiver. Not to say that Jerry Jeudy is not going to be a very good wide receiver in this draft, but I just think CeeDee Lamb has the potential to be the next superstar wide receiver and definitely the best receiver in this class. But I could definitely see the Jets taking Jeudy over CeeDee Lamb. It just seems like a New York Jets thing to kind of do. Shout outs to my buddy Mike, who is a New York Jets fan, who was very enthusiastic about this upcoming New York Jets draft. So they definitely need to have a very, very good draft here. But getting the number 1 wide receiver after losing Robbie Anderson would definitely be key for them. So regardless if they get CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy, they're going to get a very, very good wide receiver. But Miklos and Treigh are on them taking Lamb, and I am on them taking Jerry Jeudy from Alabama. Now moving to number 12, and we have the Oakland, now Las Vegas Raiders, with the Vegas Raiders' first pick now, Miklos, and I'll just leave this up to you. What do you got for your Oakland/Las Vegas Raiders and John Gruden?
So I gotta say I've been happy with the way Mike Mayock is doing things, and trusted Mike Mayock. We'll see what he ends up drafting. I have him taking Jerry Jeudy here. With CeeDee Lamb off the board, I think Jerry Jeudy is the most polished wide receiver. He's been just incredible at Alabama. And as much as I have reservations of taking an Alabama wide receiver after having Amari Cooper and what happened there, I still love Jerry Jeudy and what he brings to the table. And as much as we need, again, similar to the Jets, everything on the defensive side of the ball, I think we can just fill an instant need here, upgrade our wide receiving core to match with Darren Waller, give Derek Carr another weapon. Now that we have Josh Jacobs, our O-line has been solid, so get our offense going and then get another weapon out there and then start filling needs later on.
Treigh, you are also on Jerry Jeudy from Alabama? Yeah, that's a need for the Raiders. They need receiver help. They did get Aguilar, but I just don't see how you can pass up a talent like Jeudy at this position, especially when Derek Carr. This is basically a prove-it year for Derek Carr. So getting him some wide receiver help will go a long way.
Oh, Treigh, you also going to be happy to see your buddy Marcus Mariota move on to Las Vegas here and help Miklos' team as the backup quarterback?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he pulls a Ryan Tannehill and takes that job from him midway through the season.
Yeah, Mariota, I still believe in him, but we'll have to wait. That's a discussion for another day. I have them going with CeeDee Lamb, the wide receiver from Oklahoma, because I had the Jets taking Jeudy one spot ahead of him. So, Miklos, for your sake, I hope that the Jets do this and you can get yourself CeeDee Lamb. I'm sure the Vegas Raiders would be very excited to get the stud wide receiver from Oklahoma, but regardless, it looks like they're going to get one of these two top-end wide receivers, so I'm sure you're going to be pretty pleased with that, as it's a glaring need for your offense.
Absolutely.
So, Jeudy for Miklos and Treigh, and I have them with CeeDee Lamb, all of us on wide receiver for sure. Moving to number 13, and the San Francisco 49ers, who acquired this pick from the Indianapolis Colts from the DeForest Buckner trade, so the Niners go to the Super Bowl, and now they have the 13th overall pick. Miklos, what do you have them going with here?
So, as much as I see wide receivers, their number one need, and I think that they do, as do I, believe in Jalen Hurd bouncing back and matching with Deebo Samuel and having that good wide receiver combination. So I think Joe Staley is not going to last forever, and I still have Andrew Thomas available based on how the draft fell. They have another first-round pick, and this draft is so deep at wide receiver. So I have San Francisco taking Andrew Thomas here.
Okay, the offensive tackle from Georgia. Treigh, where are you on the San Francisco 49ers as, according to NFL.com, wide receiver, O-line, D-line, corner, and safety are their biggest needs?
Yeah, so I actually went a different route here. So I do agree that the receiver is their biggest need here. But with as deep as the draft is, they can get a solid receiver later on with their second first-round pick. So since they got this pick from Indy by trading DeForest Buckner, I basically have them replacing DeForest Buckner here. In my draft, Derek Brown is still on the board. I think he's incredibly talented to be this deep in the draft. So I have the 49ers taking Derek Brown from Auburn.
See, I was looking at the defensive line for the Niners. I mean, obviously losing DeForest Buckner would be funny that they replaced him with another offensive lineman in the draft in the spot with Derek Brown. But I just think that their line is already stacked as it is with Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead. I don't know if they need to go with another position there. Obviously, losing DeForest Buckner is a big loss, and replacing him with Derek Brown would be nice. But I don't know. I have them actually going here with their number one need here after losing Emmanuel Sanders to free agency. I think they're going with Henry Ruggs here, the very fast wide receiver from Alabama. He had the fastest 40 time in the combine, and I just think a guy like him fits Kyle Shanahan's scheme very well with that offense, a guy that can just blow the roof off the defense, and it seems like a guy that could fit very well into Kyle Shanahan's offensive scheme with a guy like Henry Ruggs. So unfortunately for the Denver fans out there who are hoping to get one of the top three receivers, in my mock draft I have them going 11, 12, and 13, and with Ruggs going here at number 13 to the San Francisco 49ers. So Miklos is on. We're actually very different on this. Miklos has him taking offensive tackle Andrew Thomas. Treigh has him taking Derek Brown, the defensive lineman. I have them taking Henry Ruggs, the wide receiver from Alabama. So that's going to be interesting to see where they go with that pick. Moving on here, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 14, who won the Tom Brady sweepstakes. Miklos, where do you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going with here, as their biggest needs are offensive tackle, running back, D-line, no longer quarterback, I guess, and safety?
So I think Tampa Bay, if you have Tom Brady, that automatically puts you in win now. And I know offensive line is one of their needs. They want to keep Tom Brady upright, but with someone who has one of the fastest releases in throwing the ball, I think he can make up for deficiencies. And I don't think offensive line is an emergency need for them right now. So in line with the win now mentality, they got their stud wide receivers and tight ends. I have them taking Jonathan Taylor, the running back out of Wisconsin. One of his biggest knocks was the fact that he had about 12 billion carries in his time at Wisconsin, which they don't know how much wear and tear is still, or how much grip is left on those tires. Which sounds perfect to me for win now. You take the most proven running back. Who cares if he doesn't last long term? Because Tom Brady is not lasting the long term. Get the best guy and go win now.
That's an interesting pick. He definitely was a college fantasy darling this year. Basically led the league in every category of college fantasy sports, and was a stud at Wisconsin. Led the league in rushing for a reason. That's an interesting pick there. I agree with what you said about the durability not really needing to be an issue, as they have a 42-year-old quarterback. So that's definitely a scenario I could see with them. I don't know if they believe in the running backs they have now with Ronald Jones and Peyton Barber. I don't really believe in that tandem, so that could be interesting for them at 14. Treigh, what do you have the Bucs going with here at 14?
I actually do. I think that's interesting having them take Jonathan Taylor, because we discussed it off air that I think DeAndre Swift is the best all-around running back, but I actually think Taylor would fit the scheme there with a Tom Brady-led offense. But me personally, I think it's just obvious in the sense that they're wanting to protect Brady, make sure that he has time back there. So I have them taking Mekhi Becton from Louisville.
Yep, I agree with Treigh 100% that you need to protect a 42-year-old quarterback, and protecting him is going to be the number one need. So the next best available offensive lineman on my board, as 4 have already been taken, is Josh Jones from Houston. So that's who I have them going with here. Treigh has them taking Mekhi Becton, another offensive lineman, and Miklos with an interesting pick, as I'm taking Jonathan Taylor, the running back from Wisconsin. Moving on to the Denver Broncos, who, if you're going off my list, are very upset that one of the top 3 receivers is now gone. So I'll just go first here by saying the next best available player for the Denver Broncos, as their needs are wide receiver, offensive line, corner, linebacker, and safety. I have them going with C.J. Henderson, the cornerback from Florida. Just seems like a Denver Broncos type pick in the first round to take a defensive player, as the Broncos always seem to want to buff up that defense and always are a defensive-minded team. Obviously now with Vic Fangio as the head coach. So now that all 3 of the top receivers are off the board, I have them going with the corner here, C.J. Henderson. Miklos, who do you have Denver going with here? You only have Lamb and Judy off the board, so the obvious pick there would be Henry Ruggs, the wide receiver from Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, I would be lying if I said I wasn't thinking of my best pal, Rick Calcine, out there whenever I was putting together this draft board. I do have Denver taking Henry Ruggs. He's still available. You need a guy to match up with Cortland Sutton out there, and what better pick to do it with than with burner Henry Ruggs.
Treigh, you're also in agreement with Henry Ruggs as well?
Yep, got to take the best receiver available.
Yep, it's Denver's got to find somebody to pair with Cortland Sutton. The Broncos always seem to have like 2 really good receivers over the years. You know what I mean? Like they always seem to have like a very good number 1-2 combo over the years with Emmanuel Sanders. Oh my God, I'm drawing up Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker. They always seem to have a good 1-2 punch there with receivers. So I think Cortland Sutton with Henry Ruggs, a guy that can blow the roof off the defense, would definitely give Drew Lock another weapon that he could develop a relationship with and develop in his quarterback. Developing as a franchise quarterback for the Denver Broncos is definitely something that he needs to take a next step in this year. So I'm in agreement with you guys that Henry Ruggs is a very nice pick, but just on based off my board, he's not available. So I had to go with the next best available, which I thought was C.J. Henderson, the corner from Denver, and then Miklos and Treigh are on Henry Ruggs, the wide receiver from Alabama. Number 16, the Atlanta Falcons. They have some very big needs to fill on the defensive side of the ball after letting Desmond Trufant walk. Their cornerback depth chart is looking pretty slim at this point. Other big needs are defensive back. Defensive back is corner, so I don't know why I just didn't write corner. Linebacker, edge rusher, offensive line, and running back. I guess you could throw that we need a safety in there as well. So, Miklos, I'll start with you. What do you have the Atlanta Falcons going with here at 16?
So as much as the other defensive things on here are needs, they do have 1 or 2 players in those spots. Maybe they just don't have the full defensive line filled out. Maybe they don't have the full linebacking core filled out. But buddy, your corners on this team are just sorry right now. So I have them taking C.J. Henderson, the next best corner available.
Okay, that's a solid pick there. I would definitely be happy with that. Treigh, you have them going a different route.
Yeah, you told me off air you weren't too much of a fan of this pick, but I have them taking Clavon Chason. I'm probably butchering his name. The edge rusher from LSU.
Yeah, I mean, edge rusher is definitely something that we could desperately need. For those of you who don't know, I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan out there, which is why they keep referring to me on this one. I didn't really want to admit that I was an Atlanta Falcons fan, but I guess I'm going to have to. But obviously losing the ghost in Vic Beasley to, oddly enough, your Tennessee Titans, Treigh. They could end up going with a edge rusher there with Chiazon. I think it's a nice pick, but when you look at this cornerback depth, oh my goodness. I mean, you have Jonathan Miller and Bleedy Ray Wilson, and that is a whole lot of yikes there with obviously Isaiah Oliver, who definitely is not a number 1 corner at this point, and Kendall Sheffield is a second-year player, so definitely don't want to rely on him being a number 1 corner at this point. So for me, if I'm going off my mock draft here, unfortunately the Denver Broncos took C.J. Henderson at 15, according to my board, which would be the guy that I would go with first, but I'm happy with Christian Fulton, the cornerback from LSU, being selected here with the 16th pick for the Atlanta Falcons. Desperately need a cornerback and take the next best available with C.J. Henderson off the board. You can't go wrong with an LSU player, and Treigh, I think we were laughing off air that you said there's going to be about 6 or 7 LSU players taken in the first round here.
Yeah, that's insane how many LSU players are.
Yeah, so Miklos has them taking C.J. Henderson, the corner. I have them taking Christian Fulton, the corner, as C.J. Henderson is not available. And Treigh has them going with Clevon, I can't even say his name. Chiazon, the edge rusher. That's all I'm going to say because I don't want to butcher his name. So we'll move on there to America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Miklos, where do you have Jerry Jones going with here to have the newest addition to Jerry World?
Well, it's funny we were talking about Clavon Chason because that's who I have Dallas taking. And much as Harry and I always have players in the draft that we like a lot, and we're like, oh, Clavon Chason, we're a big fan of him, which means he's definitely going to be taken by Dallas, which seems to happen every year and pisses us off to no end. So Dallas needing an edge rusher as their number one need, and Clavon Chason being here, I have them taking him as 17.
Okay. Treigh has them going in a different route. Treigh, what do you got for the Dallas Cowboys?
I have them taking another LSU player, linebacker Patrick Queen.
Okay, so going with a linebacker here to make that linebacking core even better with what they already have, which is ridiculous with Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch, and obviously the ageless wonder Sean Lee there on that linebacking core. But Patrick Queen would be a nice guy to mold into that another linebacker to make would probably be the best linebacking core in the NFL if they would to take Patrick Queen, I'm sure. So Miklos is on them with Clevon Chiazon, who the guy I still can't pronounce his name and butchering it to hell. And I have them going with Chiazon as well, so I'm not going to say his first name, but that's who I have them taking here. So Treigh had them going one spot ahead of us to Atlanta, and then Miklos and myself have them taking the edge rusher from LSU to the Dallas Cowboys here. So we're all picking an LSU guy, if that counts. Moving on to number 18 with the Miami Dolphins with their second pick. I almost said the Miami Marlins there, Treigh. Thinking about baseball. But maybe the Marlins could use a guy as well. But the Miami Dolphins with their second first-round pick. This one was acquired from the Pittsburgh Steelers in exchange for the safety Mika Fitzpatrick that they traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So what do you have with the second first-round pick for the Miami Dolphins, Miklos?
Well, according to my board, they've already got their franchise quarterback. So if you got your franchise quarterback, you need to protect him. And because he's still available on my board, I have them taking Mekhi Becton to get their left tackle in the future.
Okay, if he was still there, I would definitely take him. He's been long gone off Treigh and myself's board, so he's definitely a nice option there, still available. Treigh, you also have them going with offensive line?
Yeah, similar. You have to protect them. In my case, it's Tua. And the best offensive tackle that I have left on my board is Josh Jones from Houston.
Okay, so you have them going offensive line, and the reason why I had them go with offensive line with the 5th overall pick with Jedrick Wills from Alabama, and oddly enough from Alabama, is why I have them taking Tua Tagovailoa here at number 18 for the Miami Dolphins. I think that they realize that he might slip in the draft a little bit, and they could get him with the second first-round pick, and they could pair the Alabama quarterback with the Alabama offensive tackle. Perfect world for Miami, and they get their quarterback and they get their stud offensive lineman with the 5th and 18th pick here. So if Tua somehow falls to 18 and makes me look like a genius here, we'll wait and see. But that's who I have Miami taking is Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback that you guys already discussed with them taking with the 5th overall pick, a quarterback of some sort. So I still think that they will take a quarterback. I just think it'll be later in the draft here at number 18. And now moving on to the 19th overall selection, which was originally from the Chicago Bears, which, Miklos, I'm sure was a trade that you hated at the time, obviously getting rid of the stud Khalil Mack for 2 first-round picks to the Chicago Bears. Last year they drafted Josh Jacobs with the first half of that selection. Now this is the second part of the trade here. What do you have them going with as the Raiders getting this pick from the Chicago Bears and their second first-round pick of the draft?
So as they've already filled their number one need of wide receiver, they still have a desperate need of needing a corner on our defense. And I think Mike Mayock loves his championship caliber college teams, and he's going to look at Clemson as he did before, and A.J. Terrell was not a fan of how he looked in the championship game. And Trayvon Diggs, which I was not a fan of how he looked playing against LSU in the semifinal, which is still available on mine, Christian Fulton from LSU, who I think has looked rock solid all year on that championship team. I think this just makes sense to get a championship caliber player and add another corner to the roster.
I like him a lot as well, but I have him going to the Atlanta Falcons at 16, so he's not available at 19. But he's a very nice pick who I'd be happy with to take, and if he fell to the Raiders at 19, I'd be pretty upset about that if the Falcons didn't end up scooping him or C.J. Henderson. But speaking of C.J. Henderson, Treigh, he's who you have going here to the Raiders at 19.
Yeah, C.J. Henderson still available on my board. I think he's actually ranked as like the second best corner according to the CBS Sports True Talent Evaluator thing, whatever we used. But yeah, C.J. Henderson fills that obvious need that is needed on defense for the Raiders. They get their wide receiver, now they get their corner.
Yep, and that seems like a trend for the Raiders here to go with the wide receiver and then take the stud corner. But I have them going a different route, Miklos, and obviously we saw them go off the board last year with Cleveland Farrell with the top 5 pick last year. So I have them kind of going in a different direction. Obviously, the Raiders need a lot of help on defense in general, so I think they go with a defensive player here. But I have them going with Kenneth Murray, the linebacker from Oklahoma. I think they could definitely use a cornerstone linebacker to build around like that. And John Gruden loves his defensive players, so I just think Kenneth Murray, the linebacker, is the option here, as I already have C.J. Henderson and Christian Fulton being gone off the board for the Raiders, who probably I would have had them slot in if they were both available. So, Miklos, what do you think about Kenneth Murray possibly being an Oakland Raider or a Vegas Raider if selected as a linebacker here?
Before free agency, I thought that linebacker, well, I knew linebacker was the biggest need for the Raiders, and before the free agency happened, I thought with the 19th pick they were going to take a linebacker, but after getting Corey Littleton and even Nick Kwiatkowski in free agency, I think it makes it a bit of a less emergency need where corner is a bit weaker. So I think that that linebacker is something that we now have a young, talented core player in Corey Littleton at linebacker, so we can afford to go to one of our more desperate needs than taking a linebacker there.
Okay, that's fair, but it's just how my draft board fell here. I just thought he was the player that most suited the Raiders with the top corners being gone, but we'll have to wait and see with that. And lastly, before we take our last commercial break on the show today, is Jacksonville at number 20. This is the pick they acquired from the LA Rams for Jalen Ramsey. So do you have them going with, actually this is their second first round pick. Obviously they had their own, and now having the Rams pick here. Miklos, what do you have them going with?
So with them already taking an edge rusher, according to my board, filling in their biggest need now is definitely what they're going to do here, I think, and take Trevon Diggs, the cornerback from Alabama, to try and rebuild that secondary.
Okay. Treigh, what are you on for the Jags at 20 with their second first-round pick?
I also have them going the secondary route and filling another need on that defense, which is pretty much every position on defense for the Jags. But I have them taking a safety in Grant Delpit from LSU.
Yeah, I think he is. There's obviously two very, very top-end safeties in this draft. He's one of them. I think he'd be a very solid player there for Jacksonville at number 20. I'm with Treigh, though, on this. Not Treigh, sorry. I'm with Miklos on this, that I'm going with Trevon Diggs, the cornerback from Alabama. I just think it's a pick there that Jacksonville sees the next best corner available and just goes ahead and takes him. As oddly enough, they used the pick that they traded for Jalen Ramsey to draft another stud cornerback. So I believe, Treigh, you had them taking Okudah with the 10th overall pick, or the 9th overall pick, which is why you didn't have them taking a corner here. So you had them taking Okudah and then Grant Delpit. That's a very solid. You get the best corner and the best safety. That'd be a heck of a draft for the Jacksonville Jaguars secondary there. And Miklos and myself have them taking Diggs with the 20th overall pick, and with the 9th overall pick, Miklos had them taking Kinlaw, and I had them taking Derek Brown. So two defensive linemen. So a defensive line and a corner for Miklos and myself, and Treigh had them taking a corner and safety. So a lot of help on the defense coming for the Jacksonville Jaguars and their 2 first-round picks. So that being said, guys, we're going to take our last commercial break on the show today, and we will finish off the draft with picks number 21 through 32 for you guys here on today's episode. So we'll be right back here on Straight to the Extra Point, right here on the Armchair GMs Sports Network. The Blue Line Diner is Niagara's leading breakfast restaurant, Great food, great service, and where else can you see one of the NHL's greatest players having coffee and conversation with patrons? Of course, Marcel Dion Inc. is located directly next door, and Marcel is always in and out of the restaurant, talking to the kids and the fans that walk through the doors. Open Tuesday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. 289-296-8785, the Blue Line Diner, located on Montrose Road, Niagara Falls. Simply Fit Health Club. Real 24-hour access, 7 days a week. Located at 6595 Drummond Road, Niagara Falls. A clean, modern facility with top-of-the-line equipment, a friendly and non-judgmental environment, free Wi-Fi, ample parking, and more. Come in and tour their facility anytime during their office hours. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, Saturday 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Sunday 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Don't hesitate to stop in. No appointment necessary. They take pride in helping their members reach their health and fitness goals at their convenience and for the best possible price. For only $9.99 bi-weekly, members will get access to the state-of-the-art facility any day, anytime. What are you waiting for? At Simply Fit, there are no excuses, only results. Come see for yourself, 289-296-9535, or info at simplyfithealthclub.com. Simply Fit Health Club. Michelangelo's, Niagara Falls' premier sports kitchen and bar. We're all about food, friends, and fun. Catch the game with us and grab a delicious bite to eat while enjoying a cold beer. Bus trips to sporting events, live music performances, and sports pools throughout the year. Open daily 11 a.m. to midnight and 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. Michelangelo's, Niagara Falls' premier sports kitchen and bar. Canadian Wrestling Figure Store. Check out their website at cwf.ecwid.com for the best selection in Canada for WWE Elites, Basics, and exclusive action figures. Free Canada-wide shipping on any order over $200. Enter the code ARMCHAIR at checkout so they know that we sent you to receive 10% off your order. Once again, that's Canadian Wrestling Figure Store at cwf.ecwid.com. Attention employers! Finding the right candidate to meet your hiring needs requires more than just posting an advertisement and waiting for a suitable candidate to apply. Let the Niagara Employment Help Center save you valuable time and money by making your hiring process easier. Free job postings, fill job vacancies quickly and efficiently, access to a bank of potential employees, reduce employment costs, all candidates will be pre-screened, job trials and placement incentives, and financial assistance may be applicable to offset the cost of training. Again, that's Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thoroldstone Road, Niagara Falls. www.ehc.on.ca. Nestled in the heart of beautiful Ridgeway, Ontario, the Ridge Filmhouse offers up films celebrating diversity, integrity, and pure entertainment. Join us for a quaint movie-going experience complete with an in-house bar, luxury seating, and carefully curated films. Join us for a cinematic experience that focuses on comfort and quality. Our films are carefully selected to fit our specific mandate, screening films that the larger cineplexes won't. Each month, our 10x15 screens show you the best in independent, foreign, classic, and second-run films. The Ridge Filmhouse is also available for private screenings, parties, and festivals. Come and discover hidden gems or rediscover the classics one more time. Located at 320 Ridge Road in Ridgeway, www.ridgefilmhouse.com, or call 289-303-8367 for availability and showtimes. The Ridge Filmhouse, a truly unique movie-going experience. J&L Flooring is a Niagara-based specialty flooring and design company. They take great pride in providing elite customer service and support. They are a specialty flooring and decor boutique shop with a beautiful showroom, great pricing, and a wide variety and truly unique selection of products. All their products are environmentally friendly and responsibly produced, so you can feel great about your flooring choices. Their goal as a local business is to build authentic relationships based on honesty and integrity that they foster with respect and authenticity, offering unique and wide range of quality products presented by a knowledgeable and patient team. They connect with their customers to simplify the process to make their life easier and to make their homes beautiful. Visit them at 4424 Montrose Road, Niagara Falls, or find out more at jnlflooring.com. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. through 5 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. 905-358-3299 J&L Flooring. The Spicy Olive Bar and Grill is located on the top of Clifton Hill and just a 5-minute walk from the majestic Niagara Falls. It is conveniently nestled in the heart of the tourist district. A family-owned and operated business, the Spicy Olive opened its doors in 2003 and has since been established as an authentic and unique Italian restaurant and bar. Its rustic ambiance and time-worn finishing provide a warm and inviting dining experience. Offering an array of delicious dishes, they specialize in authentic Italian cuisine, homemade sauces, fresh ingredients, and consistently provide a strong foundation on which they build their menu. As night falls, the Spicy Olive shifts to a lively lounge where dancing, martinis, and live music come together to make a perfect evening. Let Spicy Olive host your next function, birthday, private event, bridal, or baby shower. For more than 15 years, they have served not only their dedicated locals, but customers from all over the world with authentic Italian food and only the best in live entertainment. Located at 5026 Center Street, just off the historic Clifton Hill in Niagara Falls. They're open daily at noon till 10 p.m. and till 2 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. Call 905-371-2323 for reservations and special events. The Spicy Olive Bar and Grill. You're listening to the Armchair GMs Sports Network. Alright guys, welcome back to the final segment of today's Straight to the Extra Point. This is our NFL Round 1 mock draft episode right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Cappy, Miklos, and Treigh back with you here. We went over the top 20 picks so far in the first two segments, so now we're going to finish off today with picks number 21 through 32. And starting off here with pick number 21 is the Philadelphia Eagles, and they have some glaring needs as well, mostly on wide receiver, offensive line, linebacker, corner, and safety. So, Miklos, where do you have the Eagles going with here at pick number 21? Shout out to our buddy Adam Dixon, who is a very biased Philadelphia Eagles fan and part of this network on the fantasy football portion of it.
So, I was looking at their roster, and I know the receiver is a need because Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson haven't been able to really stay healthy and fill in for them. And offensive line, just because of lack of depth and everything. But given that this is such a deep wide receiver class, and I think they can, and offensive line as well, I think they can pick up those depth positions later. I had Patrick Queen, the linebacker from LSU, going here. Going a little bit differently, just because, again, looking through their roster, their linebackers are just embarrassing, and they, in my opinion, desperately need an upgrade there if they're going to need an upgrade anywhere immediately on their team. So I had Patrick Queen, linebacker from LSU, going here.
Yeah, getting Darius Slay definitely helps for the defensive back core there, but they still need a lot on that defense. So I could definitely see them going with the linebacker, Patrick Queen here. He's already off the board for Treigh and myself, I believe. No, actually still on the board for me, but he's gone in Treigh's board. So Philadelphia 21, Patrick Queen for Miklos. Treigh, you have them going with wide receiver as their number one need and position that they desperately could use an upgrade on.
Yeah, I think they just have to get Carson Wentz some help. He's proved that he can get the job done. He just needs a little bit of help, and I think they get that help with the LSU star, Justin Jefferson.
And I'm in agreement with Treigh as well. I have them taking Justin Jefferson, the wide receiver from LSU, on my board. Ruggs, Judy, and CeeDee Lamb are already all gone and on Treigh's list as well, so that's why we had them going with the next best available wide receiver and Justin Jefferson, as they could definitely use a guy like him, and I'm sure he'd instantly slot in as at least the number 2 receiver on that team already, which doesn't have a whole lot going for them at this point. Moving on to the Minnesota Vikings with the 22nd pick. This is their first of their 2 first-round picks. This was one that they acquired from the Buffalo Bills for Stephon Diggs. So, Miklos, where do you have Minnesota going here? They have 2 picks, or they have 2 picks within they at 22 and 25, so a few picks right near each other. So, where do you have them going here with the strategy of the first pick here?
So with the first pick, just because there's been a run on the top 3 wide receivers are already gone, and I, according to my board, have quite a few corners taken already. And given that they've lost their top 3 corners from last year through free agency and what have you, they desperately need to get some secondary talent there. So I have them taking A.J. Terrell and immediately getting, hopefully, and I'm sure for them, to get their new number 1 corner.
That's definitely a nice option for them there, as their biggest needs, according to NFL.com, number one is corner, then wide receiver, edge rusher, O-line, safety, and like you said, with the wide receivers not being available there, I think Terrell is a nice selection for them with the 22nd pick as a cornerback. Treigh, you have them going a different route, though, here.
Yeah, I have them going for an edge rusher, and that edge rusher is Yetur Gross-Matos, or however you pronounce his name.
The best name in the draft for sure, Yetur Gross-Matos.
Yeah, I just think it's similar to what was said earlier about it doesn't matter how good your corners are if you can't get pressure on the quarterback. And I just think that they could really use an edge rusher here, especially with with another pick coming up. There's going to be a corner there available too.
Okay, so Treigh has him going with Yetur Gross-Matos, who I think the New England Patriots are definitely looking at very much at number 23, so that would be Minnesota snagging him right in front of New England at 23, so that would be an interesting pick there. I have them going with Miklos's route, though. No, sorry, I don't have... Yeah, I do. I have them going with Miklos's route with a defensive back, but I have them taking Xavier McKinney, the safety from Alabama. They lost Xavier Rhodes, so they had to gain another Xavier, and Xavier McKinney here. So I think they take the safety that they feel is the best available with Grant Dalpett also there, but I have them taking Xavier McKinney, the safety from Alabama, and then obviously we'll get to what they take at 25. But I'm on Xavier McKinney, the safety from Alabama. Treigh is on Yetur Gross-Matos, the edge rusher, and Miklos is on A.J. Terrell, the corner from Minnesota, with some glaring needs that they have there on the defensive back spot. Moving on here, the New England Patriots at the 23rd overall selection. There is a lot of rumors going around of what they're going to do with this pick. Is it going to be a quarterback, or are they going to go with somebody on the defensive side of the ball? So, Miklos, what do you have for the New England Patriots? Biggest needs: quarterback, tight end, linebacker, D-line, wide receiver.
Well, previously I mentioned that I had very little confidence in my pick with Detroit about who they were going to take. I have zero confidence whatsoever in predicting what New England is going to draft. I have no idea what they're going to do at the draft spot. I mean, who knows what they actually think are needs for them, if they're even going to stay at 23 or trade back to get more picks. They are saying they're confident in Jarrett Stidham, but I don't believe anything that is said about the New England Patriots until they actually do stuff. I have them taking Jordan Love. I don't believe in Jarrett Stidham. I think they're going to try and get a quarterback for the future here. I think they like Jordan Love. I mean, there's lots of talk coming into the draft about this guy. But honestly, yeah, it could be literally anything that's going on.
Yeah, you never know what to expect with the New England Patriots. They could go off the board and take a guy that fits their mold, the Patriot way type thing, and who knows if they believe in Jarrett Stidham or not. Like you said, I don't believe them until we actually see the team actually hit the field for week one, but what they're going to do. But obviously losing Tom Brady, quarterback you'd think would be a number one need for them, unless they have another ace up their sleeve, which New England always seems to have over any other team. Treigh, you also have them going with a quarterback as well, but you're going off the board here, which seems like a New England type of thing to do.
Yeah, you were speaking about the Patriot way, what fits the mold, and in my opinion, I think that quarterback is Jacob Eason. He's similar to Brady in that they're not really mobile quarterbacks with ridiculous arm strength and can read a defense. So I think that's just the kind of guy that Bill Belichick wants. And they're definitely going to be reaching for him, but I think Jacob Eason is a guy that can develop into a really nice NFL quarterback.
That's a very interesting pick, and it's honestly a New England Patriots type thing to do, so I could definitely see them taking Jacob Eason and kind of reaching here for a guy that the Patriots really like. So Miklos has them taking quarterback Jordan Love, Treigh has them taking quarterback Jacob Eason, and I have them going with the edge rusher Yetur Gross-Matos from Penn State. Moving on to the New Orleans Saints, their biggest needs are linebacker, O-line, safety, corner, and quarterback. Miklos, what are you thinking from the Saints at 24?
Just because they have their biggest needs, it's actually unbelievable looking at this roster how they haven't won a Super Bowl in recent years. I mean, for them, it's just unbelievable underachievement for the amount of talent and the players they have on that roster. I have them taking Kenneth Murray here. He's still available, fills an immediate need, and really the only obvious need on their roster at linebacker because they are rock solid everywhere else.
I mean, I'm okay with them underachieving. You know, I'm as a bitter Falcons fan, as they torch us every year. It's I'm okay with them losing in the first round of Minnesota this year at home. So I was okay with that. But yeah, like you said, I mean, I can't deny that their roster is stacked, and they're probably going to be the favorites going into the NFC South again this year. But if they go and get that linebacker, that would be big for them, and I'd be pretty disappointed to see them get a stud linebacker there at 24. Treigh, you have them going a different route though, and interesting here with the quarterback.
Yeah, I think just because of the fifth-year option, by getting a quarterback in the first round, I think the Saints are going to go ahead and draft what they believe will be their quarterback of the future in Jordan Love. We all know that Breeze's time is limited, doesn't have much time left. Go ahead and get somebody who can learn under one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game. The quarterbacks that have time to actually sit behind a stud quarterback and learn a couple years always seem to do better. So I think if they go ahead, get Jordan Love now, let him sit, get that fifth-year option on him, it could be a good move down the line. It's not something that's going to improve their team today, but they don't really need to. They're a stacked roster.
I think the fifth-year option is a thing that you need to bring up about the Patriots as well, as obviously Belichick wants that extra year of control, which is why it would be interesting for them to take a quarterback in the first round as well, just going back to the New England pick there with Jacob Eason and Jordan Love. But you have them going with Jordan Love, the New Orleans Saints, that is, with Jordan Love. And do you not think that they believe in Taysom Hill, as people say that they think that he could be a quarterback in this league?
People are saying that. I just don't see it. He's already 30 years old, isn't he? I don't see it happening.
Yeah, and Drew Brees has 2 years left, and he's most likely going to become an analyst at that point, as there's speculation that they're trying to recruit him big time to Sunday Night Football as an analyst when he retires in 2 years.
He already signed a contract with NBC.
Okay, well, there you go. So he is going there in 2 years, so there is a limit. We already know when they're going to need their next quarterback, which is in 2 years, so Jordan Love, have him sit and learn behind Breeze would definitely be interesting. Miklos has him going with Kenneth Murray, the linebacker, and I have them going with the linebacker as well, but the next best available on my board is Patrick Queen from LSU. So New Orleans playing in Louisiana, they don't have to go far to find Patrick Queen, who also plays in Louisiana for LSU. So I think it's just a perfect fit there with Patrick Queen not going far down the road to play for the New Orleans Saints. Next, we have the Minnesota Vikings with their actual pick after they already had Buffalo Bills pick at 22. Miklos, you have an interesting pick here off the board, sort of, according to a lot of mock drafts here. You have them going wide receiver and an interesting wide receiver that isn't talked about much in the first round here.
Yeah, I mean, his name keeps popping up, and I think they need another wide receiver opposite Adam Thielen at this point. And, I mean, if you've watched this guy play, it's very similar to another first round, maybe not a positive comparison for a Minnesota Vikings fan, but he's similar to Cordero Patterson, another first round draft pick, in that he can do a lot of things other than just playing wide receiver. Maybe with this time around, more wide receiver talent along with the gadget plays. I have Laviska Shenault, the wide receiver out of Colorado here.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting pick. I've seen his name pop up a little bit, but for the Vikings to take a wide receiver definitely wouldn't be a bad thing, as obviously they just traded away Stephon Diggs, and Adam Thielen's kind of getting up there, so I think they definitely could use a wide receiver at this spot there. Treigh, you have them going with cornerback here.
Yeah, since they passed on a corner with the 22 pick in my draft, I have them coming back now, getting that corner. I do think they need a receiver, but with how deep this wide receiver class is, they'll probably be able to get a solid receiver later on, second, third round. But the cornerback options are limited after you get through the first round options. So I think they need to take a corner here, and I have them taking Trevon Diggs from Alabama.
Okay, so Trevon Diggs is still available on Treigh's board. I'm in agreement with Treigh that they're going to take a corner with this pick, and oddly enough, I agree with Miklos when he selected A.J. Terrell at 22. I have them taking A.J. Terrell here at 25, so I had them going just a few picks later to Minnesota with their second first-round pick, so they desperately need cornerback help as well. So Treigh and myself are on corner with A.J. Terrell and Trevon Diggs, and Miklos, a little bit of an interesting pick with Shenault there, the wide receiver from Colorado, with to replace Stephon Diggs. Moving on to the Dolphins at number 26. This is the pick they acquired from the Houston Texans and the third of their first-round picks. Miklos, a great draft upcoming for the Miami Dolphins, and how do they end the first round here with their third pick already?
So, I mean, you got your quarterback of the future, you got your left tackle of the future to protect him. Now you want a stud player on defense, and because he's still available, according to my draft board and how it falls, with now that Minka Fitzpatrick is gone, I have them taking Grant Delpit and getting the new general of their defense out there to command that secondary.
Yep, one of the stud safeties available, along with Xavier McKinney. So Grant Delpit there for Miami would definitely be a good replacement for Minka Fitzpatrick. I also have the Miami Dolphins taking Grant Delpit, Miklos, so we had the same pick there, the safety from LSU. So I think it's, like you said, they get the offensive lineman, they get the quarterback, and now they get the stud safety. So I think it's a fantastic first round for the Miami Dolphins here. And they're continuing to build into a competitive team once again. Although I will say Brian Flores, I think the fact that they even won as many games as they did last year, I think it was a great accomplishment considering how bad that roster looked at times last year. So shout-outs to them for even being as competitive as they were last year, and they're going to take that next step this year. I think Brian Flores is a very special head coach. The reason why I brought that up is because my pick first was because I agree with Miklos, and Treigh kind of is off the board here with a completely different pick, not safety. Treigh, what is your pick for Miami at 26?
Yeah, I have them staying offense. They got their quarterback, they got their tackle. Now they need another skill position. I have them taking DeAndre Swift, running back in Georgia.
Okay.
I think DeAndre Swift is just so versatile. He's like a Christian McCaffrey type player. And I just think he's going to fit into that mold of what they're going to try to build down there in Miami.
Okay, so that's an interesting pick there, Treigh. As you said that you think DeAndre Swift is the best best running back available in this draft, and that'd be a heck of an offensive draft for Miami to get a quarterback, running back, and offensive lineman for sure. Moving on to Seattle at number 27. Miklos, what do you have for them as their biggest needs are edge rusher, offensive line, D-line, safety, running back?
Yeah, and I think especially with Clowney's future kind of up in the air, they don't know if he's coming back or not, and he's still available on my draft board. So Yetur Gross-Matos, I have going to the Seahawks here, getting another solid defensive player, adding to the edge rush, which they desperately need on their team right now. And as he's still available with the way my draft went, I have them taking him here.
Yeah, if he would have been available on my draft board as well, I would have had Seattle taking him here if New England didn't take him at number 23. Treigh, you're going with the defensive line as well, but you're going with somebody different.
Yeah, I actually made a change to my board literally as we were during the commercial break. I was looking over the back end. Instead of taking defensive tackle like I had before, I changed it to an edge rusher, and I have him taking A.J. Epinesa from Iowa.
Okay, so I got to change your pick here. All right, on the clock, Treigh changes his pick. All right. So A.J. Epinesa, and Treigh copied me because I also have the Seattle Seahawks taking A.J. Epinesa, the edge rusher from Iowa. So we're all in agreement that the Seahawks are definitely going to be taking an edge rusher because it looks like Jadeveon Clowney just wants way too much money for the Seahawks to be able to bring him back. I just can't. There's a reason why he's still on free agency because nobody wants to pay him that type of money. It's just Miklos, I know you've had a strong opinion on Jadeveon Clowney ever since he was drafted ahead of Khalil Mack in that draft.
Well, I just think he's been. It's unfortunate because the poor guy. Yeah, ever since he's been in South Carolina, he's been burdened under unbelievable hype and expectations that I think any player ever would have difficulty trying to match, and I think that's the product of some of the difficulties that he's having, why he's demanding this money based on the expectations that people are heaping on him. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we have the Seahawks going with edge rushers, A.J. Epinesa and Yetur Gross-Matos. Moving on to the Baltimore Ravens at number 28, and it always seems like the rich get richer with the Baltimore Ravens and their defense. Linebacker, O-line, wide receiver, edge rusher, D-line is their position of need, and we didn't talk about it, but we talked about Michael Brockers being a nice addition for them on our free agency recap show, Miklos, and that deal, for whatever reason, fell through, so he ended up going back to the Rams, so they could desperately use a guy to replace Michael Brockers, who they thought they were bringing in, and the deal ended up falling through because of money and term.
Yeah, it's wild. And I'm going to take a quick mention here. I am so happy that the deal with Eli Apple fell through for the Raiders. Thank God for that. But anyways, going back to the draft here. Yeah, it's funny that you guys were both talking about AJ Epinesa, because that's who I have going to Baltimore here. I know they have some other needs, but with Matthew Judon being a franchise player, and who knows if they can get the long-term deal for him, they definitely need an edge rusher to pair with him now and maybe to take over from him for the future. So I have AJ Epinesa going here for them.
Okay, so we had Epinesa going one pick ahead, Treigh and myself to Seattle, and Miklos has him not going too far as the next pick to Baltimore. He has them taking AJ Epinesa from Iowa. And Treigh, what do you have Baltimore going with here at 28? Their biggest need is linebacker. It looks like you're sticking with that.
Yeah, I'm going with linebacker here, and on my board, Kenneth Murray. Still available from Oklahoma. I just think that's the biggest position of need for Baltimore. And with Kenneth Murray still available, I don't see how they can pass him up.
Yeah, absolutely. I also have them going linebacker here, but unfortunately Kenneth Murray was already taken on my board by the Raiders at 19, so here the next best available is Zach Bond, the linebacker from Wisconsin, but I definitely would have went with Kenneth Murray if he was still available. So Miklos is on AJ Epinesa, Treigh is on Kenneth Murray, and I am on Zach Bond, so a lot of defensive help coming for the Ravens regardless. And now moving on to pick number 29, and I'm going to start with this one with Treigh, as they are his Tennessee Titans. The biggest needs for them are edge rusher, D-line, O-line, corner, and running back. Treigh, what do you got for your Tennessee Titans?
Well, I originally had them taking an edge rusher, but this is what I went back and changed during commercial when I was thinking everything over. I'm still holding out hope that they do sign Clowney to a somewhat manageable deal. All the reports say that we're still in the mix for signing him. And with the signing of Vic Beasley, I just think an edge rusher would be nice, but I don't think it's as pressing of a need as corner will be. The Titans haven't re-signed Logan Ryan, not Logan Green. They haven't re-signed Logan Ryan yet. So right now they only have Adoree Jackson and Malcolm Butler to play corner. And then after that, the talent level drops off tremendously. So I have them taking Christian Fulton, who's still available on my board right now at 29.
Okay, so that's who I have the Atlanta Falcons taking with their pick at 16. So I would definitely think if Christian Fulton was there that late in the draft, it would definitely be a nice pick for Tennessee. You originally had AJ Epinesa taken by the Titans here, but then you had him jumping up to Seattle there at 27. So what was your reasoning with that, with Epinesa jumping 2 spots?
Well, I was just thinking about Clowney. That's basically it. And when I was thinking about Clowney, it made me think about Seattle and how Seattle really needs an edge rusher more so than an interior lineman. And Epinesa, it made more sense that he would go to Seattle. And when that happens, that takes the pick away from the Titans, which I originally had. And then if the Titans do get Clowney, then they need a corner. It was just kind of the way everything would have, like a domino effect.
Okay. And Miklos, where do you have the Tennessee Titans going here? Actually, you're going on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Treigh. I think as much as people are, not happy with how Vic Beasley did with Atlanta, I think him coming here, change of scenery, and having a player's coach, as if you will, in Tennessee, I think this is a great place for him to turn things around. And I was swapping between corner and pick that I ended up having them take, but to me, it felt like offensive line with Jack Conklin leaving felt like more of a need immediately. And then I have them taking the best available, as tackles have been on a bit of a run in the first round for my board. So I have them taking Josh Jones, the tackle out of Houston.
Next best available offensive line, which is definitely a position that they could use as well. I actually had them going with Ross Blacklock, the interior defensive lineman from TCU. He was the guy that Treigh originally had for Seattle at 27 before he changed it to AJ Epinesa. I think the Titans, Treigh, if you want to jump in here, could desperately use a interior defensive lineman as well as an edge rusher.
Yeah, well, they got rid of Jarrell Casey by trading him to the Broncos for next to nothing. Supposedly that was a clear up cap space for signing Clowney, was what all the rumors were, but that still hasn't happened. But I'm counting on Jeffrey Simmons, first round pick from last year, having a huge year at interior role. He played limited action last year and was incredible. For the amount that we got to see him play, he was absolutely incredible. So I'm hoping he does well. The defensive front is definitely a need. It'll just be interesting to see what happens with Clowney first, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's contingent on that. So Trey's going with Christian Fulton, the cornerback from LSU. Miklos is going with Josh Jones, the offensive lineman from Houston, and I am going with Ross Blacklock, the defensive lineman from TCU for the Tennessee Titans at number 29. Getting to the end here, guys, almost. Number 30, the Green Bay Packers. Their biggest needs are tight end, wide receiver, O-line, linebacker, and cornerback. We are all in agreement that they go wide receiver here, but let's start with Miklos, since he has the different answer here. What wide receiver do you have them taking?
I had them because this to me just felt like a Green Bay pick. Green Bay doesn't usually go with the big flashy name picks and everything, and so I had them going with Jalen Reagor, the wide receiver from TCU. He was not as productive in 2019. I mean, TCU's had their issues, but he's a really explosive talent and a really athletic guy. And I think just maybe he's one of those guys who will be a better pro than collegiate. And putting him out there opposite Devontae Adams and being thrown passes by Aaron Rodgers, I think he might end up being the explosive number 2 wide receiver that they're looking for.
No, they desperately need another wide receiver to go with Devontae Adams. So I definitely agree with you that Jalen Reagor would be a nice pick and a guy that could probably, go into the college games. I mean, come out of the college game and surprise some people flying under the radar because of how deep this wide receiver class is this year. One of the best we've ever seen. Treigh, you also haven't taken the same receiver I do, so go ahead and mention it.
Yeah, I haven't taken T. Higgins from Clemson. I might be a little biased on this pick because this kid's from Tennessee, and it'd be cool he's from Knoxville, actually, even though he didn't go to Tennessee. And just to see him go in the first round would be pretty cool. But he is an elite receiver. He's a big target with great hands, and I think he would be a nice fit there up in Green Bay.
Yep, I'm in agreement with Treigh. T. Higgins, wide receiver, 6'4" from Clemson, a big body. I think he'd be a nice addition for Aaron Rodgers, and any wide receiver would be a nice addition for Aaron Rodgers to pair with Devontae Adams. So we're all in agreement there. Just Miklos is with Jalen Reagor, and Treigh and myself are with T. Higgins, the wide receiver from Clemson. Moving on here to the Super Bowl, or the teams that played in the Super Bowl last year, we have the San Francisco 49ers with their own pick. They already had the 13th pick from the Indianapolis Colts for DeForest Buckner. So where do they go with here, Miklos, at the end of the first round?
Well, I had them going offensive line. I do think wide receiver is a need as much as I love Jalen Hurd and hope he makes a spectacular comeback. And it's funny we mentioned T. Higgins before because I have T. Higgins going here to San Francisco.
Okay, so you have T. Higgins going one spot underneath where Treigh and myself have him going from number 30 to number 31 to the 49ers. I think he'd be a nice addition there, a nice big body as well. Wide receiver that San Francisco really needs after losing Emmanuel Sanders. Treigh, I don't know what your pick is because this is one of your domino effect from the Ebenezer Fulton, domino effect here. That so you had the Christian Fulton going at 31. So now since he's going at 29 to Tennessee, who do you have the 49ers taking?
I'm basically just replaced Fulton with who I thought was the next best corner, in A.J. Terrell from Clemson.
Okay, so A.J. Terrell, who was gone to the Minnesota Vikings on both myself and Miklos' draft boards, 22 and 25 respectively. So A.J. Terrell, the corner, is gone to the 49ers, which is a need also on their list, which is wide receiver, O-line, D-line, corner, and safety. And lastly, if you can call them, if you can say they have any needs, they have no cap space, if that helps. But the Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs, and obviously picking number 32 is a very sweet spot because that means you won the Super Bowl. So the Kansas City Chiefs' biggest needs are corner, linebacker, running back, offensive line, and D-line, and since they weren't able to do much in free agency besides re-signing a few key guys as they really had no cap space, Miklos, I know the Chiefs are your favorite team, playing them twice a year with the Raiders, so who do you have them taking here with the last pick of the first round?
This team, it pisses me off. They actually have very, very few holes, and they did re-sign the people they need. Because there was a run on tackles, I was thinking they could go O-lineman here and have a little bit of an upgrade on their O-line, which, great. But also their corners are not looking good. And, I mean, they really are in the enviable position of being able to take the best in need. I have them taking Jalen Johnson, the cornerback out of Houston, here to upgrade that secondary.
Okay, so the number one position in need, according to NFL.com, was corner, so Miklos is going with the next best available, Jalen Johnson, the cornerback. Treigh, you have them going on the secondary as well, but you have them going safety.
Yeah, Xavier McKinney is still available on my board. He's an elite safety, big hitter. Pair him up with Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, and that's a very, very scary looking safety duo.
Yeah, Grant Dalpin and Xavier McKinney are the two stud safeties in this draft, so if McKinney's still there on your board, definitely take him. He's been long gone off of Miklos and myself's board, I believe. Xavier McKinney. Miklos,
he was not off my board,
okay.
And I'll be honest, I just didn't want him to go to the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm sure you wouldn't. That would definitely be a steal there with the number 32 pick with the second best safety in the draft, or the best safety if you talk to certain people over Grant Dalpin. I have an interesting pick for them at number 32, and reading off of NFL.com, where Damian Williams is a free agent at the end of the year, so who knows the kind of money he's going to want as the guy who was robbed of the Super Bowl MVP from this past season, which we all are on agreement that he should have won that. He is a free agent at the end of the year, so why not go with a running back and replace him with somebody who's going to be worth way less money, and going to be, since they have no cap space, they're going to need to find ways to keep this team together. And I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor, the running back from Wisconsin, going here to Kansas City at number 32. Miklos, you had him going way earlier than that. You had him going at number 14 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I just think it's a nice fit for the Chiefs if Damian Williams walks after this year. And Jonathan Taylor obviously being the one of the top elite backs coming out of college this year from Wisconsin, with that 5-year option for him to stay with the Chiefs with their cap situation. I think it's a perfect fit as running back as their number 3 need right now on NFL.com. Miklos, what do you think of them possibly taking a running back like Jonathan Taylor?
Yeah, I hate it.
That'd be interesting. Treigh, what do you think of Kansas City if they decided to go with a running back here with 32?
On my board, Swift is already gone, but just looking at yours, if they were to go running back, just personally, I think they should take Swift just because I think he fits the mold of the Kansas City offense more. He's a pass catcher, whereas Jonathan Taylor rarely caught passes at Wisconsin. Kansas City runs primarily shotgun plays. So unless they're doing like read options or inside zone handoffs, I think DeAndre Swift would be the more dynamic pick, but Jonathan Taylor, in my opinion, is the best pure running back in this class.
Yeah, that's fair. And you could even say that they wouldn't take one here, and maybe they try to pick up a guy like Clyde Edwards-Helaire later in the third round or something like that. Obviously, the Swiss Army knife for Joe Burrow there in LSU. He was pass catching back and did a lot of things coming out of the backfield, like an Alvin Kamara type receiver / running back for LSU. So I could see the Chiefs taking a guy like that, or like you said, DeAndre Swift as well. So I just think Jonathan Taylor, the best available, they go with him there. But Swift or Clyde Edwards-Helaire would also be another great weapon for Kansas City that I'm sure Miklos should be ecstatic about.
Yeah, I hate anything that they're picking there.
Yeah, for sure. And that's it, guys. We've reached the end of the first round. All 32 picks selected today. If we would have went over all 7 rounds, we'd probably be here till the NFL draft started next Thursday. Unfortunately, we can't do that. But is there anybody worth mentioning that you thought that you almost picked for a team in the first round that you thought maybe just didn't make the cut and will probably go early in the second round that you want to make mention to?
For me, it's Blacklock. I think he's first-round talent. He just, and the way my board fell, especially after the changes, just didn't have a spot for him.
Miklos, is there somebody you liked that you were debating that just didn't make the cut for the first round?
Well, Xavier McKinney I didn't have in there, and yeah, I mentioned this for biased reasons, but he's definitely someone who I see someone take, especially talented safeties that can fill multiple roles are in such demand in today's NFL. To have a guy like that, you can plug and play other places, he can come and fill in the box too. I don't see that guy falling out of the first round.
Yeah, another guy that I've seen pop up, the guy I want to mention that I've seen on some mock drafts is Cesar Ruiz, the center from Michigan. He's the projected first center taken in this draft, so I've seen him up as high as 25 in some mock drafts. So Cesar Ruiz, the center from Michigan, is somebody that I could definitely see end up becoming a first-round pick for a team that is in desperate need of offensive line and more specifically the center position. So with that being said, guys, that's it for today's episode. It's been a great mock draft. We've actually had a lot more cohesion than I thought we were gonna. I thought we were gonna have a lot more of differentiating picks here. But as far as like the same types of needs for all the teams, we were pretty spot on there with what position the teams were going to take, and it's been fun, guys. Appreciate you guys coming on for this. It's definitely it was worth it having two co-hosts for today's show, given some different perspectives, and much appreciated.
Oh yeah,
thanks for having us.
Speculating.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun here. I'm interested to see just what this draft is going to look like with Roger Goodell in his basement, and if he's going to try to have like some sort of backdrop going on behind him. But one thing I want to mention before we end the show today is, according to Ian Rappaport, one of the guys projected to be taken, Mekhi Becton, according to Ian Rappaport on Twitter, said multiple players had drug tests flagged at the NFL Combine, and among those projected top 10 Louisville offensive tackle Mekhi Becton. Teams were made aware of this. Becton had not failed drug tests in college. Per new CBA rule, he goes into stage 1 for no more than a 60-day suspension. Miklos, do you think that this possible failed drug test would affect Mekhi Becton's draft status in the top 15 or so?
Yeah, I don't think so. Based on previous drug issues that players have had, and including a certain picture of someone wearing a gas mask and still ending up a first-round pick. So, yeah, I think he'll be just fine.
Treigh, what do you think of that?
No, I think he'll be fine. He's got no prior history of anything like this. And with the new, I don't know the wording, how I'm trying to say this, the lax on drug tests, and they're not as serious as they used to be, in my opinion. Like Josh Gordon would be allowed to play right now if he was, still in the, he might be in the league. I don't know if he is or not, but I just don't see it as that big of a deal, especially in today's climate.
Yeah, for sure. It's if Josh Gordon was around, if he was just starting out, he might have been able to play a few more games in his career. But with that being said, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's NFL mock draft for round 1, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network and on Straight to the Extra Point. This is your source for North American sports coverage by sports fans for sports fans, delivered to you right here from the Niagara region. As always, I'm your host of Straight to the Extra Point, Cappy. You can follow me on Twitter at Capootz13 with a Canadian Z. And a very big thank you to both of my co-hosts. First, Treigh. You can follow him on Twitter at Treigh Patterson. He's a former contributor for the Tennessee Vols. He is now a writer for us on the Armchair GM Sports Network. He just posted a brand new article with the MLB Power Rankings, preseason rankings, so go check that out on the website. Treigh, thanks a lot for joining us for today's episode.
Oh yeah, always happy to be here. Go Vols.
Go Vols. And my other co-host, Miklos, who helps me cover the NFL portion of the network. You follow him on Twitter at Miklos_McMaster, a former OUA athlete for the Waterloo Warriors. Miklos, thanks a lot for coming on and joining us during your quarantine and with the NFL mock draft list, as we always discuss, during the NFL draft season, but we never actually get to talk about it on the air. So I'm glad we finally got to discuss your mock draft that you do a great job in on the air here.
Yeah, thanks. It was great being here.
Yep, and thank you to all of our great sponsors who help put us on and support the network, keep the show on the air, and finally to you viewers out there for tuning and listening along with us for this episode. And this has been a special edition of Straight to the Extra Pointer at 2020 NFL Round 1 Mock Draft. Enjoy the draft next Thursday, guys, and we'll see you for our draft recap show.